There's a decent amount of people in here for such an early slot at a crypto conference on a weekend. So that's cool. My name is Moel Said, and I'm in charge of community and education at Ledger. Super happy to be with you here today to chat about a topic that we're all either curious or completely crazy about, collecting JPEGs. Today we'll explore the relationship between NFT collection and identity formation. So if you think about it, we communicate as much through what we buy than what we say. And NFTs have had an incredible year in 2021. This new medium opened plenty of doors for self-expression outside of the limits of the physical world. And this is exactly what we'll be diving into today with our amazing guests. We've got Nirmala from the Fabricant, Yen from Word of Women, and Luca from POAP. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So before we dive into the topic, maybe you could start by giving us a quick introduction about yourselves and a few words about 2021 from your perspectives, because you come from different fields. Nirmala, you can start.
I'll go first. Hi. Hi, I'm Nirmala. So I am from here representing the Fabricant. We're a digital fashion house based in Amsterdam. I work there as a product manager and just have recently transitioned to the community team, which is really exciting because I think reflecting what we're building, we're really building a community of digital fashion creators. My 2021 was pretty crazy. I had a baby at the start of the year. So that was one big transition. But it was funny, like before I had the baby, I was working more like just, we were creating like a production house, like creating digital fashion items. And we had this idea about the value that they had and the potential, but it wasn't really realized widely. So then I had the baby and came back and we were like creating a Web3 co-creation platform, which has been amazing. We kind of released the MVP late last year and had a really great response to that. And we're getting ready to release season 1 soon. But I mean, generally, it's just been a really wild year. I think like for all of us, kind of the mental models and how we've kind of changed our thinking, changed my own thinking about what we're building. Yeah, it's been great. I have to say I kind of mixed, obviously with the lockdown and everything, it's been a challenging year, but I think that actually propelled us further into this space. So yeah, that's kind of my year. Lewis?
Hi everybody, so I'm Lucas, I'm managing POAP FR, and 2021 was for the whole POAP ecosystem a complete explosion. The classic hockey stick curve happened in 2021, meaning that the exponential minting and collecting and events and everything went nuts. So basically, we're here to make it more available to everyone, to present what POAP can do for as a protocol for everyone. And I'm glad that my collection also went nuts. My personal collection went it doubled, so not exponential, but at least double. And here we are in order to show you guys here in Paris, but to the world in YouTube. How NFTs and maybe POAP in particular can help you to build some form of identity based on the events that you go. What about you, Yen?
What about me? So yes, I'm Yen. I'm head of communication for World of Women. And 2021 has been very exciting because it's when I actually discovered NFTs. That's when World of Women was also created. So for those who don't know, it's a community that celebrates diversity and representation, and it's united around the World of Women collection itself, drawn by Yam Karkai. So here's my cool profile picture. I'm happy I sent it as my pick.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it too, very objectively. And yeah, so it's been really a very exciting year because like so many things happened, and And like we had great ambitions, but like it was really crazy. Like we had endorsement from a lot of celebrities. Like today you can see Reese Witherspoon with a wow as a profile pic, Eva Longoria, Huda Beauty, a lot of different personalities. Gary Vee also was a big supporter and still is, thanks to him. We gave $250,000 to charities. Pretty cool. Like we really already had an impact. Like we did a lot with artists. We bought more than 100 art pieces for fun and collaborated with more. What else? We signed a deal with Universal Music Group in Cambridge. So yeah, there's a lot of things that happen, and I think I forgot a lot, and it's difficult to say like all that happened. But one thing's for sure, I learned that 6 months in the NFT space is packed.
That's for sure. So Nirmala, maybe to set the table here, as we were saying, Web3 and digital ownership have opened a lot of new doors for self-expression. And identity formation. So maybe if we set the table by explaining what an identity is, and then diving a little bit more into how Web3 is changing the way we form it and share it with the world.
Yeah, and it was funny, like when I was doing my research on this, I went down a lot of rabbit holes. But I think like the key thing with identity is, that it's fluid and that it's like iterative, and like every day, like we are creating and performing who we are and our identity. A big part of that is like our self-image, our self-esteem. It's how other people see us, but ultimately it's fluid. And there's some interesting kind of analogies to like our identities being kind of like a chain, right? So we carry within us all the identities that we have been along our lives, and what you're seeing now is the latest block on my chain. We do hard forks, we change, we do all that type of thing too, but yeah, there's like this interesting thing about our identities being very fluid, and how, forming them is very much about the context and the medium that we form them in. So you growing up in a certain way with certain people, going to school somewhere, learning about things, that's all the medium that you have to form your identity. When we kind of take that into thinking about how Web3 is changing that, it's like looking at, social media and how we form identities through social media. Instagram, it's very much about sharing a visual side of your identity. Twitter, it's about sharing a, text-based side of your identity. Web3 is really, and the key thing with that too is like it's within these kind of closed platforms. I think what Web3 does for the formation, it fundamentally changes the medium and the context that we can form our identities in. By having the infrastructure, right? Tokenized communities is an infrastructure to form your identity. The other key thing, and I'm jumping around a bit because there's so many ideas, but it's like changing from, identity is also consumed, right? Like you show who you are by the shows you watch, the books you read, what you wear, all that type of thing. Whereas now identity can really be more about what you create and how you create it with your community. So I think, again, it comes down to this Web3 infrastructure that it's enabled that we can really move into that space. So, and then obviously the ownership is critical, right? So whatever I create now, I can take it with me. So when my space dies, I've still got all my weird and wacky things with me that I can take to the new platform. So
on that point, I would like to open it because, as you said, the social media, Instagram, your identity, you express yourself as a human on those platforms, closed platform, but ultimately that part of your identity belongs to them, right? It's for them to put ads on, to sell it to other people. And what Web3 brings is that chain, Ethereum or the other ones, allows you is to have that token that belongs to you. If you have your keys, it's your identities, not on Binance. But yeah, it's ultimately it's you that you're able to move it around, and it belongs to you. And we all heard of the platforms of cancel culture, where besides the ethical part of it, the technical aspect is some director at some Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google, whatever, could decide that whatever message, whatever your identity is no longer an asset for them, and then be deplatformed or cancelled or whatever. And that's also something that this gigantic and always-on network allows for true ownership of our identity, and that's pretty much a revolution.
There's also this very interesting contrast between the identity that's given to you. I mean, where you're born, your parents' religion or your skin tone, and the identity you choose. And I feel that Web3 is really about your interests and your tastes and whatever you believe in terms of ideas than what the physical world has given you in terms of limitation. So yeah, I'd like to move on to Yen because when talking about PFPs, right now they're at the core of what tokenized tribalism is all about. And buying a piece of art isn't only about buying the piece of art anymore. It's about shared ownership of values, ideas, and outcomes in the case of DAOs, as well as a social signal to the world. How are you thinking about building the identity of Word of Women and uniting the community around that shared vision with initiatives and incentives?
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. Like when you're rocking like a profile picture, it's kind of like a way of saying, "Hey, I think I belong there. Like I'm part of this, and I share this set of values." So I'm happy you asked me that question because as I was saying earlier, we're very mission driven. So everything we're doing is based on that and from the very, very start. So I think this really reinforces that identity, and that's what it built it. So from the start, for example, Yam, our artist, like she created the collection because she felt like there was something missing in the space, because when she wanted to buy herself a PFP, she didn't find anything that really like spoke to her, like resonated with her. So that's how the idea came. And then like during the way, the actions we've taken are always like driven by our mission. Like when I say charities, like it's the same. Art as well, like we always want to like empower minorities, etc., and like doing actions that will contribute to that. And today what is amazing is that like it outgrew us in a way, because like the community is now like taking it in their hands and making it theirs and like bringing it to the next level. Like for example, I would say that WoW is like about being someone that it's diverse, inclusive, etc. Like these are like values that are dear to you. But like with our community now, I can say also that it's about like being like benevolent people that's like welcoming newcomers that are like into education and stuff, and yeah, so they're kind of bringing it to the next level and creating something bigger than what it was initially.
Yeah, absolutely, and I really like the initiatives that you have. I spend a lot of time on Discord, and I think one of the impressive communities is yours, because there's so much happening on your Discord. So could you maybe speak more to the initiatives that you have? I know that you have some sort of a fund for artists, and then that you drop different artworks to your community. So maybe speak more to that.
Sure. Yeah, so we have the World of Women Fund. We already acquired more than 100 pieces. We have curators in our community that help us select art pieces every month. So we bid on them up to 0.3 TH. So we're trying to choose like smaller artists to bring more eyes on what they're doing. And then we share it on our Twitter because we have like quite the followers now. So it's a good way also to give them like more visibility. So we're really happy about that, and it helped us discover like really great artists, and like we're super happy because we also have a very cool collection now. and yeah, so that's for the WoW Fund, and we also have monthly art drops. So as you can see, my WoW is a rainbow. and I love it. But you have different skin tones, and according to your skin tone, you're gonna have an art drop made by a different artist, and those artists are gonna imagine something that will go well with that universe. So there are 7 art drops per month. And yeah, it's also another way of like highlighting those artists' work, and it's like artists we really love and want to highlight.
That's awesome. So, Luca, I'd like to move on, to what you're doing with POAP, and the places we go to and the experiences we live are also a big part of how we form our identities. And if you think about it, as people, we've been collecting memories in the forms of, tickets, merchandise, goodies for decades now. But POAP is kind of changing the game when it comes to visibility and utility. How are you currently working on that, and how do you see that, evolving in the next few years?
Great question. Well, for example, today, some of the POAPs that are distributed today will allow to enter a specific chat room where the people that are here today, and we might not know each other from our names or pictures or even phone numbers, but we will be able to discuss and that identity, that signal, that event will allow us to share something, right? And of course, if that later on, if there more than affinity, then you can move on to another type of conversation, a coffee, a WhatsApp, whatever. But the access to that chat room will be available with a POAP. Then of course there is the drops, other project that use previous POAP in order to drop NFTs or access to a certain Discord or a specific Discord channel based on some specific POAP. And for example, for today, there was a raffle that was done based on POAPs that were given on a podcast, and people hearing that podcast would claim that POAP, then enter the raffle, and then there was a giveaway to get here. So as you can see, there is like a timeline that is expressed on this blockchain that doesn't require a name, your activity, or it's just about your intentions, your time, your attention. That is the most scarce asset, and from there's different channels to utility. And then the truth is, we don't know yet how this is going to evolve. I mean, identity is such a complex idea. And the fact that today I have a POAP collection, but tomorrow maybe I can hide some of it, expose some of another, and get access to, or get a special discount, or just showing my collection to you on Discord or in real life, and seeing that we've been in the same events, and smile about it and start a conversation.
Absolutely, and talking about identity, there are different layers of identity when you think of the metaverse as a whole. So you have avatars, you have the things that you own in your wallet, and you have the things that you wear. So Nirmala, what you're doing at the moment at the Fabricant is pretty fascinating, because you're kind of 10 steps ahead of what everything is happening, but you're also going to be at a place that's going to be very, very relevant when the metaverse has its prime time. How are you thinking about that at the moment? Because I know that you have a lot of initiatives, and where do you see, digital fashion in the next few years? Whether it be, as a digital garment for avatars, but as a way to put in place different collabs with existing brands.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a massive change across all aspects of fashion. How it's created, how it's worn, how it's sold, how it's bought, and how it's expressed. I think one thing that's super interesting is, what we're working on now is co-creation of fashion items. So the platform we're building lets people come and kind of right now it's like customization, really, where you can kind of take a jacket, take materials, combine it together in different combinations and mint a unique fashion item. The next step beyond that is that you can kind of trade it, so you own it. But when you trade it, all the people that were part of that jacket that you created, the garment created, the material creator, the accessory creator will all be part of the smart contract. So these items will kind of be equitable to everyone along the chain of creation. So that's really exciting, I think. The other key thing is, what do you do with your fashion item? So we're trying to, in this ecosystem we're building, is think about all the different utility tailors, we're kind of calling them. So if I want to take this to Decentraland or Sandbox, or I want it as an AR filter, who are the people, or to voxelize it, who are the people I need to connect with? So there will be all these different roles that will come up. And then beyond that, there'll be stylists that need the voxel piece, and they'll have to take that and get a photographer. And, the whole ecosystem is just going to keep building out. So I think we're really excited just about seeding it and kind of seeing what's going to happen. But really for us, and this is kind of why I've also moved from product to community, we realize we're not just building product, we're building community. And that really starts with thinking about all the roles and how those people, what do they do? What is the value? What are their rights within this space? How do they create, an equitable living for themselves? So, it's a kind of like it kind of goes beyond, it goes into like politics and governance and all that stuff. And I think similar to kind of what, World of Women is doing, right? Like it's just building this whole, operating system that people can connect with, which is super cool.
Yeah, 100%. And before we move on to Q&A, because I'd like to give also the opportunity for the people to participate in that conversation. But I'd like to ask you about your 2022 milestones, and if you can give us some sneak peeks. I think all of us would be very happy about it. Maybe you can start with Yen, because I know they have a lot of things in the roadmap for 2022.
Yeah, so there's the things we know and the things we don't know yet.
Or the things that you don't want to say.
Maybe the secrets, the surprises. We did announce a lot of things. So the first one is making our brand global, because initially it was thought for the NFT scene, but we wanted to be like bigger and have people who aren't necessarily part of the community to also feel like to identify to World of Women. So that's the first thing. Then we announced that we're bringing our charity actions to the next level. We partnered with Code Green, so we're like getting into more the ecological causes. Then we announced a second collection, because the entry price for World of Women is high, and
pretty high.
Yeah, we understand that it's like not accessible for everyone, and we want to have more people in our community. So we hope that this will help other people join us. And last but not least, we also announced the DAO. So we want the community to have even more power in the decisions. That,
so is there going to be a WoW token?
I don't know exactly how it's going to work yet, but but people who will have a World of Women will have more voting rights than from the second collection. I say that because I know.
Okay.
Regarding POAP, there is, so 2021, complete explosion. Right now, we know that as a protocol, there's a lot of gears to get oiled. For instance, the issuer aspect of the protocol is rather complicated, and that's somehow a form of a limit that we put, because it's completely bonks. But so yeah, the idea is to control that part and to have the whole chain of creation and distribution much more smooth. Regarding the volume, well, as you just said, I mean, some of projects are kind of exclusive based on Ethereum prices, and that's the beauty of POAP, right? It's free. It's free to issue, free to collect, and it's, I really think, on a personal level, not even on the fact that I'm working with POAP, that is one of the projects the more inclusive, that only Ethereum address is enough to participate in the experience. And so bringing more people to Web3. Right now we're we're claiming the 3,800,000 POAP maybe today, and hopefully
2 million.
Today it's the POAP number 3,800,000,
Wow.
and hopefully by the end of the year we should be at the 10 millions, 15 millions. But again, the whole chain of the protocol should be a bit smoother, especially for the issuers, So everyone that is here wanting to create a POAP to distribute to your community, please talk to us. That's why we're here. And yeah, and I'm really glad that I participate in this project that is entering a lot of people without thinking about gas prices, gas wars, Ethereum prices, and stuff. So I'm here. Thank you.
I'll have to talk to you afterwards.
Will do.
Yeah, I think for us, like we just had a internal kind of catch up with the whole team, and the big word that we have this year is focus. You know, I think like the Fabricant, we started off as a digital fashion house, and now we're kind of really expanding. We're kind of having our own mini identity crisis. So really trying to think about like what is critical, what's important. So I think this year is all about building. So building our platform and the tools for creators, building the community so people can kind of come and find, you know, roles and, you know, connect with other people. We have some really exciting collaborations coming up, actually. I think World of Women was one that was coming up, which is cool, that we'll be announcing soon.
That's a sneak peek.
Sneak peek.
Here we go.
And yeah, we've got a lot of exciting collaborators in the works that will be dropping. But yeah, we're kind of dropping season 1 soon, so keep an eye out for that. And then season 2 will be, like, registration for that will be opening up. And that's kind of us taking the creator tool into new territory. We're really trying to build an engagement layer over the tool. So we're not just doing drops. It's kind of like you come and really participate in kind of like a meta kind of game, which is exciting too. So yeah, so come join our Discord. Oh, and another big thing, just because I feel like there will be a lot of builders and creators here, we are hiring, you know, developers, designers, motion design, just all types of people. And I'll be hanging around for the day. So if anyone is interested in, you know, building the digital fashion future, come and talk to me, please.
Cool. So we actually have time for maybe a couple of questions. So if you want to ask a question, please raise your hand. And our dear friend Ferris here will probably give you a mic.
I have a question later.
You have a question?
Yeah, but let's.
Right. There's someone there.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And that's actually something the Fabricant, I think, has kind of built its name around. So when we produce a digital fashion item, it's like designed in super high quality. Like we can do 8K renders with the garments that we create. And often the process for us of taking it from the design process and what we design into these different places actually means downsampling that quality. So the way we want to preserve the quality is, you know, the NFT that you mint on our item, what you receive visually right now is like a 4K render. And, you know, if you want to take it into a voxel world, we'll voxelize it and it becomes voxelized. But in future, when we can support that high quality, when we can, you know, have this like your unreal metahuman with all its beauty and like, you know, the simulation, we will have that asset ready for people. So I think it's like the roadmap for that. We're not, you know, we're not quite there yet in terms of the utility, but it's like we're designing for that because we know the quality is critical. The other really interesting thing about quality with digital fashion and NFTs is that we can make these programmable, right? So it's not just like the quality is in the visual fabrication or the textures, but these NFTs, this jacket can have a function that actually connects to the world that you're in or to another person. So that you know, adds a new type of layer of quality to garments and to fashion.
Cool. We have maybe some time for another question. Please.
Hi.
Hello.
So I'm really interested in this talk because our project actually combines POAPs and fashion. So
Great.
it's really awesome that we see you here at the same stage. So my question was kind of related to what Bill and Mrs. already asked, but in terms of bridging the physical with the digital fashion, our approach was we cannot, like, actually people go to the digital because there are some stuff that do not
go quickly first. So yeah, the Fabricant is really digital-only fashion. We did not plan to create any physical items at all and ever really, and as far as we kind of define ourselves. And that's the big reason for that is sustainability. And you know, we feel like the type of fashion that we're trying to create, it is super, like if we tried to create that in the real world, it's very energy consumptive. So for us, the focus is really digital only. And in terms of how we connect it to the physical, we're really looking at you know, AR technology and going to be prototyping a lot around that, because that really brings an interesting layer on how in the physical world you can still be wearing your digital item and playing with physics and all these different mechanics. So that's a really quick, short answer, but yeah, I'll pass it to.
And regarding distribution system, it's a great question. Today, as POAP exploded, there is we have some farming issues where when we share a QR code on the internet, it gets farmed like the hell out of it. And so today, in our booth, you can experiment a new beta distribution system that is called a kiosk. That basically it's a screen that shows a QR code, but it changed at its scan. So you can take a picture of it and you could put it on Twitter, but it will work only once, and that's kind of a game changer. I invite you to come to the booth and check it out. And then, of course, we are prototyping with NFC tags that, of course, would provide a unique claim link on each tap, and that's even cooler because not even need for a screen and internet connection. Your phone will do. Of course, then printing paper and whatever paper works, we can do stuff. So it's a real 2022 is going to be a lot about also new distribution channels. Some of them on real life, some of them on Discord channels or on the internet or the Web3. And we're happy to experiment with you all. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for the great chat.